Now, to begin authoring a report within the PARCEL platform, we'll need to log in to PARCEL with your unique username and password on our website www.parcelplatform.com. Upon login, you'll either need to start or find the project you'd like to begin working in. For today's purposes, we'll jump into this phase 1 up here, and that will bring us to the report writing interface. Now, there is one concept I'd like to explain as far as report writing goes, in that we've broken our reports up into 3 main categories. We have the template itself, which is the table of contents. You can see that up and down here on the left-hand side. That's what sections are included, where tables are included, that type of thing. The second level we have is what we call our default language library, which is as we enter into many of these sections, they will have pre-approved language from your company, potentially some instructional language here as well. That's for you, the report writer, as you come across common situations that you can select with a click of a checkbox an entire couple sentences or maybe an entire paragraph worth of data, so you're not starting off from scratch. So we have the template, we have the default language library, and the third level is the aesthetics, the look and feel of the report when you assemble a final deliverable. Now, those are already taken care of for you here in the background, so you don't need to worry about those. As a report writer, really all you need to worry about is adding information into the template that's already been preset up for you. Now, first and foremost is navigation. How do I get around the page itself? And you can see here we can jump around the page to the table of contents and simply click on the section we'd like to go to. We have the option of advancing or moving backward one section at a time by using the little blue arrows here on the top of the page. Or if you're doing a portfolio, if you're doing a grouping of sites, you can actually stay within the same section but move from report to report by clicking the up and down arrows here, or by using our drop down. The last option for report navigation is we do have what we call the report editor over here on the left-hand side. And while that takes a moment to load, what it'll allow you to do is view the entire report from top to bottom, much more like a Word document. Going back to a specific section, whether you're in a single section view or in Report Editor, the sections themselves work the same, in that any section you're working in will have a combination of either narrative data and or tabular data that you can enter. The first thing we see here is we do have some instructional language in this section. Any language you see in an orange text box is instructional only. It's viewable by the report author, but it does not become part of the final deliverable. Next we have here is the narrative area. And to edit that, all I need to do is select the Edit button. That'll open it up so that I can freehand type. I can cut and paste from either this document or another document. If you're cutting and pasting and utilizing Internet Explorer, we do have the paste icon here that will paste information into PARCEL, but it'll strip out any of that background code that could affect the aesthetics of the final deliverable. You have many of the rich text editing options that you would look to expect as far as bold, underline, bullets, changing the color of the text itself. In Internet Explorer, we also have the ability of turning on track changes and utilizing that feature as well. So you have the ability of freehand typing, you have the ability of cutting and pasting. We also have the ability of tapping into our default language library we talked about earlier. And by clicking this icon right up here, it'll actually pull up the library, and if I have any options available for that section, for instance, here I found no USTs. I see my keyword is no USTs. It actually represents an entire sentence, or it could be paragraphs worth of data. By selecting this checkbox and deciding I'll want to overwrite what's already there, my language is automatically pulled in. I can submit my changes and move on to the next section. As far as tabular data is concerned, the tables may have different look and feel. The table headers, the spacing, all of that is already taken care of for you. All you need to do is, if we're in the UST section, say we found 3 USTs, so I need to add 2 more rows. A lot of our tables will have drop-downs available for you. You always have the option of selecting Other and typing in the answer if the drop-down doesn't represent what you're looking for. And again, once you type in that tabular information, you can submit changes. Now, anytime that the Submit button is selected, that information is stored back in our database. That's because when you're working in PARCEL, you're always working with the most current version. Multiple people could actually be logged into this report at the same time, So if I'm writing sections 8 and 9, the reviewer can actually start reviewing the report and be in sections 3 and 4, and we wouldn't be affecting each other's data. If, however, we happen to overlap in a section and say that reviewer deleted some information that I had previously saved, with both the narrative and with the tables, we have this View Undo History button. So I can simply select Edit. I can view my history. I can see who entered text and when. And if I wanted to revert back to a previous version, I simply select that text box. I'll overwrite what was there, and I can submit my changes. So although you're always working with the most current version, you do have access to those previous versions if you need to revert back if something is lost or something is overwritten by accident. For many of the sections of the report, you'll be doing the same thing. The tables may look different, but you'll either be entering narrative information or you'll be entering tabular information. We do, however, have some special tables in both the records review section and in the historical use section, depending on how your template's set up. But most templates for phase 1s at least are set up so that if you're in the records review section, not only can you order your EDR data directly from that section, and when you order EDR data, radius maps and historical data for instance, when delivered, those products will automatically upload themselves to the appropriate appendices. In addition, we can reach in from PARCEL into that radius map and pull out specific information. So we have both the EDR maps finding summary, and if I scroll down here, as well as the EDR database detail. And by doing these imports, I can actually click on that import link. It'll open up every single database or every single hit within the radius map itself. I can select only the ones that I want to talk about, and by clicking submit, I'll bring in that information. Site name, a database, address, distance, direction, elevation. So I don't have to transpose that information anymore. All I need to do now is select my comments and add in whether that site is an issue or not. All the information pulled in from the radius map report is, of course, editable. In case that radius map report is off, it says it's 718 feet away. It's actually 218 feet away. And the elevation is higher, so this is or is not a concern, based on my opinion. For the historical sections, the import button will actually pull in the year and scale of the aerial photo, the year and quad of the topo map. Again, just saving you some time in transposing that information and reducing the potential for error if any of those numbers are mistransposed. Adding narrative information, tabular information, and importing tables will take you through, in most templates, sections 1 through all the way up to the appendices. Getting into the appendices themselves, most templates do have a figure generator appendix, some sort of photo log appendix. Phase 1s will have the regulatory and historical research appendices. And then again, depending on what template you're working in, you could have some additional appendices here as well. The figure generator appendix will allow you to create your current figures, your site plan, site location map, as well as allow you to mark up any historical products you order from EDR. You can launch that figure generator simply by clicking the Launch EDR Imagery Drawing Tools link here. It will open up in a separate window. And if you have any questions on the drawing tools, we do have a quick video link right here within the PARCEL platform. The photo log is an excellent one, whereas you're able to upload any photographs that you took while on site. You can even grab multiple photographs at once. Once those photographs have been uploaded, they will be editable, and you can of course zoom in on them as well. The caption that automatically comes in is the file name itself. So if you're working with our mobile app, for instance, and you're adding those captions in the field, those captions will automatically be pulled into PARCEL. Those captions are easily editable, and the order of the photographs are easily rearrangeable simply by dragging and dropping. You can, of course, rotate or delete out a photograph if you don't want to use it. However, PARCEL has a unique feature with both the photographs and with any documentation that you upload, in that we have the ability of excluding. If you click on this little icon here, and what that'll do is with the photographs, it'll put them down into their own excluded photographs area. This allows the senior reviewer to take a look at those photographs you took on site, but if I assembled a deliverable right now, they actually would not become part of the report. With any of the documents that you upload, you're able to upload them into PARCEL, utilize PARCEL as a document repository that can be accessed from anywhere, but simply by excluding that document, you make sure it doesn't become part of your final deliverable. Once you have your photographs in the order that you want them to appear, with the correct caption below, you can save your changes and simply move on to another section, because Parcel will automatically take care of arranging the photographs into your 2, 4, or 6 photographs per page and adding the headers and footers to be consistent with the rest of your report. The other appendices, as I mentioned, we have the historical appendix, or the EDR radius map appendices. This is where your historical products will automatically upload in both the PDF format as well as JPEG format. The radius map report will automatically upload into its appropriate appendix as well, in both the radius map and in a DBF format. And lastly, qualifications, additional documentation. You may have communications, some other appendices here. Basically, a lot of these are simple browse and upload appendices. Any file that you want to be included in your final deliverable does need to be uploaded in a PDF format, but Parcel does hold on to a variety of file types. Again, if you just want to use Parcel as a document repository, you're more than welcome to do so. Some of the appendices do have some special links here as far as adding a questionnaire, sending a questionnaire email. Your template may differ. If you have any questions, please reach out to the support team. Once all of the information has been inserted into the report, it can be sent off to a senior reviewer. The nice thing about Parcel is you can grab the URL up top here and email that off to anyone that has access to the report. By clicking on that link, not only will they be brought into the report, but they'll actually be brought into the specific section that you grabbed the URL from. So if you had a question on section 5.1 here, I can grab this URL, I can email it off to my senior reviewer, and we could both log into Parcel, be in the same section at the same time. If one of us makes a change and the other one refreshes their screen, they'd see that change. So it truly is a collaborative workspace. The senior reviewer also has the option of adding a comment flag. These comments sit outside the report. The type of comment simply denotes the color of the flag. But this allows myself and my senior reviewer to have a communication within the Parcel platform, but again, it doesn't become part of the final deliverable. But for review purposes, they would be able to walk through the report, make any changes they want to make themselves, add any comment flags that they want to add, and they can simply let me know when they're done. Hey, I've made some changes and I've added my comments. I can then come into Report Editor. I can say, show me only sections with flags, and I know that these are the only sections in the report that I need to take care of. I have 5 or 6 sections here. Rather than trolling through an entire report looking for a red line markup, potentially missing something, these comments and responses are time and date stamped by who and when. And of course, comments can be deleted once they're complete if you don't want to keep track of that conversation. As far as authoring a report, that should take you through pretty much everything you need to know. There are tips and tricks throughout the Parcel system, so if you're ever doing something and you're thinking, man, there has to be a better way, there probably is. Please feel free to reach out to our support team. Their number is at the bottom of every single page when working within Parcel, as well as the email to our support group. There are some advanced features here to the Parcel platform that we'd like to touch base on now. We walked through how to navigate throughout the report utilizing the table of contents, utilizing the arrows here on the upper right-hand side, or going through Report Editor mode, which will show you the entire report from top to bottom. But we have some special tools down here at the bottom of the Tools menu. Both Parcel Writer and Variable Replacer will save you a significant amount of time when entering data into the report. Parcel Writer takes the concept of the template and the language library that we discussed already and molds them into one. Parcel Writer allows you to walk down through the report, viewing your instructional language as well as viewing your default language options. Sections 3.5 deviations here, for instance, I have 2 language options available. The keywords are deviations and no deviations. If I hover over that keyword, I can actually see the sentence or paragraph's worth of data that keyword represents. And if I want to insert that into my report, I can simply select the checkbox next to the keyword and move on to the next section. This is extremely useful when talking about site reconnaissance. No, there were no hazardous materials. No, there were no petroleum products. No, there were no USTs. I'm adding in entire sentences or paragraphs worth of data, so I know I don't even have to go back to those sections when I'm writing the actual report. If the answer is yes, of course, yes, there were ASTs, I will need to go back in and add some additional detail there, but at least I have a handful of sentences to start out with. You can walk down through the report, checking off as many sections as you feel comfortable doing, And by clicking Submit Changes, it'll actually push that language into those sections that we've selected directly into the report. The next advanced feature we have we call Variable Replacer. And what that does is it allows you to work like a very fancy find and replace, to push pieces of data throughout the entire report with one click of the checkbox. So we have preset variables that can be utilized when you're putting together your default language library. And so for instance, with this template, we see that the zoning variable appears 3 different times in the report. And if I hover over each of those sections, we can see in purple exactly where that zoning information comes in. We of course want that zoning information to be consistent throughout the report, so I can enter in the information in the text box. I can select that I do want to push that variable, and I can select Submit Changes at the bottom of the report. Whatever's in this text box will automatically be pushed anywhere that it finds this variable of zoning. And by submitting my changes, I can now see that there are no additional options left next to zoning. So anything here on the right hand side is a variable that hasn't yet been replaced. You can go into that actual section and do so manually, or of course have the option of doing so from Variable Replacer. The next option I wanted to point out here is the report status. This is another optional feature, but very, very useful, especially if you're doing multiple reports at once or some sort of portfolio. The report status starts off as work order. We then have data entry, senior review, draft, and final. You can change the status of the report simply by clicking the buttons here, and as you hover over, it'll tell you exactly what it will do. And lastly, a senior reviewer or a project manager has the ability of finalizing the report. What that does is it removes all the edit capabilities as well as removes the draft watermark from the report itself. And the last item I wanted to point out was the project dashboard. This gives a bit more of an overview of the project itself. You wouldn't be entering any actual information into the project dashboard, except for these columns here in white should you choose to do so. The project dashboard shows that report status that we talked about earlier. It will show if the report's been signed off. It will show if there's any unaddressed flags. For a senior reviewer purposes, I could come into the dashboard and notice that there's 3 figures. By clicking on that number, I could actually come in here and view what those actual figures are. I also have the ability of seeing how complete the report is. This takes into account how many sections data has been entered into. And so anything with a green check mark, data has been entered into. Anything with a red X has not yet been addressed. And I can use this as a mini table of contents and jump directly into that section of the report too if I choose. I can sign off on the report through the general information. Now I've already uploaded my digital signature, so I have the ability of, if I was the first one here, I'd be able to sign or sign on behalf. And by the simple click of a checkbox, it'll pull in my signature. And lastly is assembling a final deliverable. We have the option here through the Assemble Deliverable function to select which feature or features you wanted to include in the final deliverable, as well as which appendices. If you didn't want to include an appendix, for instance here we have Appendix E and F don't have any documents listed, I can simply uncheck those, and if I wanted to automatically re-letter, I can do so by selecting the re-letter checkbox here. I have the option now of downloading a PDF file. That will incorporate everything you see here, from a transmittal letter, cover page, the body of the report, all of the data that we entered, then of course any of the appendices that we select, into one PDF complete with bookmarks and hyperlinks. Because of the size of the photo log, or maybe just even the EDR data itself, these are often too large to email. So PARCEL also has the option of sending an email link. And from here you'll be able to send an email to your client. It'll appear as though it's coming from you. We have a canned email in here, but of course this is all editable. And what it'll do is it'll send a secure hyperlink and password to your client. And when they click on that link and enter the password, they'll be able to download your entire report, 5 megs, 50 megs, doesn't matter. And that link stays active for roughly a month. If anytime after a month your client needs another copy of the link, you can log back into PARCEL, come over to Assemble Deliverable, and send them another copy. The great thing here is you can also send a copy of the email to yourself, so you know that it's gone through, time and date stamped for your own records, and you don't have to hope that large files get through via email. Once again, if you have any questions, there are multiple ways to contact our support group through the feedback or support, our direct 800 number, or shortly we'll even have a feedback option here on the bottom right-hand side. Please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you very much and have a great day.